So our section number for today is 1.2, as you can see on the board. We are learning about multiplying and dividing integers. So our goal is to review multiplying and dividing signed numbers. Signed numbers and integers are basically interchangeable. It just means positive and negative numbers. And we're reviewing, which means that none of this should be new to you. This is all stuff you should have had last year. This is also all stuff you can do in the calculator. So if you brought your calculator, that's a really good thing. If you did not bring your calculator, you're going to have to review your times tables and learn the rules for positive and negative numbers. Any questions so far? Once you have this written down, you can put your pencils down. We're just looking at a few examples first that you don't need to write, just to kind of get your brains working. All right. So here's the first one I want you to think about. Again, you don't need to write this down. Just sort of watch it, take it all in, see if you can figure it out. This says 10 teachers each have 2 textbooks. How many textbooks are there? Yes, I hear 2 people have it. 20. How do you get 20? There's 10 teachers. They each have 2 textbooks. It's basic multiplication here. That gives us 20. Good. Now, the thing I want to talk about on this slide is the different ways to write multiplication. So you can use the dot. Are you guys familiar with the dot? Okay. You can also use parentheses. These are the 2 you'll see today. Those mean the exact same thing. They both mean multiplication. You will not see the old X in this class. I don't do that. It's kind of like the old school way to do it, so you won't see that in this class. If you see an X in this class, it's a variable. Any questions so far? All right, let's look at another one. I sent too many text messages last month. I sent 20 extra texts. The phone company charges me 10 cents a text. How does this impact the amount of money I have? So if you're owing the phone company 10 cents every time, do you think that's a positive or a negative number? Negative. You're taking money out of your bank account to pay the phone company. How many times is that happening? 20. Does anyone know what negative 10 times 20 is? Negative
30.
Nope. Nope. You're missing a 0. Negative 200. Very good. Again, if you have a calculator, you can type it in. Since I said cents, I'll put a little cent symbol. If you want to write it with a dollar sign, you'll need a decimal, so just be careful on that. Again, that's not super important for what we're learning today. The important part is the multiplication and the sign, the negative sign. Now, some people would write this 20 and then the negative in parentheses. That's the same thing. Multiplication, the order does not matter. It's called commutative. Doesn't matter order. All right, so there we go. What are your questions on this one? All right, another one. I bought lunch every day this school week for $4. So you're paying them $4. What type of number is that probably going to be? Negative. You're losing money paying it. How many days are there in a normal school week? 5. So I need negative $4 coming out of my wallet for 5 days. How much money did I spend? $20. So this is a negative 20 because you're spending it. Questions on this one? All right. This is our last, talk it out example. Then we'll see if we can come up with a rule. So start thinking about the rule if you're trying to work ahead. This says, I get $2 for every necklace I can sell. How much money would I make if I sold 25 necklaces? So what am I going to do here? Multiply. And 25, that's how many necklaces. So what would that give us? 50. Very good. And if you want to do the dollar sign, you can. And this is money you are making, so it's positive. Questions on that one? All right, there's a follow-up question on the bottom. It says, last week I made $80. How many necklaces did I sell? How do you do that one? I heard somebody say it. This is division. This is where division comes in. So you had 80. How much were each of them? Each necklace cost how many? $2. So you must have made how many of them? 40. Very good. Again, calculator will help you a lot here. If not, you'll have to do long division. Do you guys remember how to do long division?
Yeah, no.
Okay, you put the number that's first in the box with the other one on the outside, and then you'd say, well, how many times does 2 go into 8?
I remember how to do it. I just forgot how to do it.
That's why we're doing it on the board.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So 2 goes into 8 4 times, so you put a 4 above the 8, and then you'd go through and say 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract. 2 goes into 0 times, and that gives you 40. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time reviewing long division because you all have a calculator. And if you didn't bring a calculator, I'm assuming you love long division and you already know how to do it, because why else would anyone not bring a calculator to a math class in high school? Right? Right. Okay, any questions? All right, let's see if we can come up with a rule. So here are the rules for multiplying and dividing sign numbers. So go ahead and put this in your notes. I'll give you a second to get the title ready. This is important, so if you want to put some stars around it, you can. I'm going to draw you a little picture. Okay, now before we even come up with the rules, I want to explain something to you. We learned a set of rules yesterday. Those were the rules for what? Adding and subtracting. Adding and subtracting lives in a different house than multiplying and dividing. Imagine them, they're 2 blocks away, but they live in different houses, okay? Do you get to act the exact same way at your house that you act at your grandma's house? No. Do you get to act the exact same way at your friends' houses? No. Different houses have a different set of rules, right? At my house, you can drink straight out of the milk carton. At Miss Ricker's house, you can't. Okay? You'd never walk into Miss Ricker's house, open her fridge, and drink out of the milk carton, would you? That's disgusting. At your house, maybe you can put your feet up on the coffee table, but your grandma would smack you in the back of the head if you tried to do that at her house, right? Different people in different houses have different rules, and you act a different way depending on whose house you're in, right? You might talk a little different, you put your shoes in a different spot, things like that. Just weird little rules. You don't intermix, right? Everybody get what I'm saying? Same thing for adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing. They look very similar. From the outside, the houses look exactly the same, but you follow a different set of rules. Do not try to use the rules from this house, the adding and subtracting house, today, because today we're in the multiplying and dividing house. They are different rules. You cannot intermix them, okay? Don't put your feet on the coffee table today. Make sense? Okay, so we need to come up with a completely different set of rules. We cannot follow yesterday's rules, all right? So don't even try to make them match. They don't match at all. I think you guys get it. Okay, so if I'm multiplying two positive numbers, what type of number do you think my answer is going to be? Positive. Very good. I want you to put this in your notes. If I'm multiplying two negative numbers, what do you think I'm going to get? A negative number. Very good. Whoop. What? Negative times a negative is? Positive. For a second, I thought I was in the adding and subtracting house. Whoops. Sorry. Let me take my shoes off and put them by the front door. A negative times a negative is a positive. Yesterday it was a negative, but we're not in the house anymore. So when the signs are the same, your answer is positive. Do you guys see that? Two positives gives you positive. Two negatives also gives you a positive. Now, what if you have one of each? I have a negative times a positive. This is when your answer is negative. It doesn't matter which one's bigger. I don't care. That was yesterday. Wrong house. Same thing if the positive number comes first. If it's positive times negative, it's also negative. So those are the rules for multiplying. Off to the side, I want you to put dividing is the same. So we are in the same house. Same set of rules for dividing. What are your questions so far? All right, so problem number 1, we have 5 times negative 3. So a positive times a negative. What type of answer am I going to have? A negative. Very good. And then what's 5 times 3? 15. So this is a negative 15. Very good. Next one, what is 6 times 4? 24. Both positive, so my answer is positive. Those are usually pretty simple. The next, negative 9 times negative 3. So a negative times a negative is a positive, right? Positive, okay. And then what would that give us? 27, good. And then last, a negative times a negative is positive, and then 4 times 4 is 16, very good. Now, just a little side note, you don't need to write this down, but just off to the side, here's a little something I want to point out. Today the problem looked like this. The 4 is right next to the parentheses, right? Yesterday the problem looked like this, and we subtracted. Do you guys see the difference? Yeah. When there's a sign in the middle, that's the most important one. Okay, that's a minus sign, and then this parentheses just sort of helps you keep the sign straight. When the sign's inside of it and the number's touching it, that's when it's multiplication. Do you see the difference? If you're going through your homework and you're unsure, a lot of students try to use the size of the sign. That doesn't really work. Sometimes a minus sign is just small. It just prints out that way. And a negative sign is really big. It just prints out that way. So don't try to do that trick. It doesn't always work. It's more about placement. So if you get confused, just bring it up to my desk and I'll kind of reason through it with you. Questions? All right, next 4. I will give you, again, just kind of a minute or 2 to write it down. Give it a shot if you wish. If you wish to just wait, that is fine as well. These are all division. There are multiple ways to write division as well. We'll get into that on the next slide. This is just the traditional division sign. All right, number 5. We have a negative divided by a negative, so my answer is going to be positive. What did you get? Positive 3. Very good. Next one, a positive divided by a positive, so my answer will be positive 2. Very good. 7, I have a negative divided by a negative, so my answer is... It's positive. Yep, positive 2. Good. And then the last one, a positive divided by a negative is a negative, and then the 20 and the 4 gives us 5. Now, a lot of students forget that division is just multiplication in reverse. So if you don't really know if your answer is right, work backwards. Say negative 5 times negative 4 is positive 20. Is that true? Yes. Then you know you did it right. 2 times negative 13 is negative 26. Right. 2 times 4 is negative 8. Right. Okay, so go back and work it backwards, see if you did it right. Questions? All right, here's our last set of examples. The reason I wanted to look at these is because the notation is sort of different from the previous ones. I already told you that the dot is another way to write multiplication. So 9 and 11, those are multiplication problems. And then the division symbol, like the 2 dots with a line through it, you don't see that much in algebra. The more common way to write it is using a fraction. So here's just looking at those. You can type them into your calculator as a fraction using the fraction button. It knows how to handle it. Or you can use the division symbol. It's the same thing.
So is the first one a subtraction sign?
You tell me. It has a dot, and then it has what?
What is it negative?
Yeah. Yep. So the dot sort of is more important than this.
This looks kind of long.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I was saying. You can't really judge by the size of it. It's more the placement. So dot with a negative or dot with a minus is just a negative. I know. Tricky. That's why we're spending days reviewing this sort of things.
I tried putting in number 10, but it says error.
Someone's getting an error on number 10. Make sure you're using the negative instead of the minus on those. It might be getting confused. I'll come look at it in just 1 second. So number 9, we just talked about that dot means multiply. So this is 4 times a negative 5. Positive times a negative is a negative. And what do we get? 20. I heard somebody say it. We were just talking about number 10. It's a negative divided by a negative, so I know the answer is going to be positive. So if the calculator doesn't like all those negative signs, you can clean it up on your own and then type it in. But what are you guys getting? 10. Very good. Again, on the calculator, you have the option of using that ABC button. Looks kind of like that. Or you can use this guy. It should give you the same answer. Double check it if you're unsure. Number 11, we have negative 15 times negative 2, which gives us positive 30. Very good. Now, I want to draw your attention to number 12. When there is one negative sign, you only have one negative sign, okay? When it's out front, for some reason, students want to put it with the top and the bottom. You have a few options. You can put it in the top, you can put it in the bottom, or you can leave it in the front. What do you guys feel like doing? Putting it in the top. I actually usually put it in the top myself. So it's just like negative 49 divided by 7. If you put it in the top and the bottom, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So it's basically like you just forgot about it. Don't do that. Either leave it in the front and deal with it later. Make sure you just put it with your answer. Or put it in the top or put it in the bottom. You can't do all of them. You can't do top and bottom, so be careful on that one. What do you get, though? What's the answer? Negative 7. Great. All right, those are the rest of our examples for today. Do you guys have any questions? All right, we're going to look at our wrap-up before I give you guys your homeworks, just so we're all on the same page. You don't need to write these down, but it's a good idea to pay attention. What will you get when you multiply a negative and a negative? Positive. Very good. What if you do a positive? Hold on, let me write before I forget. Positive by a negative. Negative. What about a negative by a positive? Negative. And then 2 positives? Positive. Very good. Any questions before I let you go on your own?